Hey everybody, how you doing? Crime and Cask here with you today. Trying to get this camera right. There we go. Let me get this door that way. There we go. Okay, so listen. Today I'm going to talk to you about something that's difficult to talk about because it involves the death of a beautiful young boy, 14-year-old boy by the name of Kaden Moses. He lived in Clinton, South Carolina, which is a very small town, quaint little town, located in South Carolina in the upper Piedmont region, somewhere between Columbia and Greenville, South Carolina. Okay. I'll show you a picture of him. And this was, I think, just an amazing picture. Oop, there we go. Caden. This is him and he and his girlfriend in the fall of 2023 before he was murdered. So let's just kind of start with what a beautiful family and a beautiful young boy this is. His mother described him to me as he would give the shirt off, the t-shirt in 30-degree weather. He would give the shirt off his back to a stranger to help them if it felt that he felt that they would be warm and he would go without. That's the kind of kid we're talking about here. One of his major life goals as a 14-year-old was to be a father. It absolutely blows my mind. Blows my mind that a 14-year-old wraps their head around that this is what I want to be. I want to be a father. So interesting how that comes about, especially in this day and age. So let's kind of get into it. His mother, Erika, and his father, Caden's father, were separated, getting divorced. Caden is at his father's house. This is December 2023, less than a year ago. He and his father were doing some deer hunting. Caden was well versed in how to use a gun, hunter safety. Deer hunting with his father was brought up to respect firearms. And for some reason, he wanted to go home to where his mother lived. And so he went home on December 27th. That time, he and a friend, I'm going to call this friend Henry, to protect his identity. He's a minor. And he and Henry were having a little bit of a spat, let's call it a 14-year-old spat, where they block each other on Snapchat and wherever else they do these type of things. And their girlfriends were friends. Caden's girlfriend's name, I'm changing it, was May. We'll refer to her as May. And Henry's girlfriend, we're going to refer to her as Kate. And by the way, I have just posted an article on my website, crimeandcast.com. If you want to go to it, you can follow along. I'm going to be reading some excerpts from it. But crimeandcast.com. Check it out. Okay, so now it's December. Let's move ahead. It's Saturday, December 30th. And Henry and Caden have made up. Boys will do that. They don't stay mad for long, and teenagers tend to do that as well. So And they had made up, and so Henry was going to stay over at Caden's house on Saturday night. This is Saturday, December 30th, 2023. And started out as a normal night. And then about 9 o'clock, they were talking to their girlfriends. So, in today's day and age and the phones, they are on the phones and, FaceTiming on the phone with one girl, Facebook with another girl. But all four of them were together. Henry and Caden were together at Caden's house, and May and Kate were together. I'm not sure which house they were at, but they were at one of their houses, and they were FaceTiming their boyfriends. About 9 o'clock came, and Caden was going to take a shower. This is where things there's some things that just don't make sense, but so he's going to shower about 9 o'clock, and according to May, she says around 9 p.m., Caden and I were on the phone talking, and he decided to go take a shower. I stayed on the phone while he took the shower. When he got out, he told me that Henry had walked outside, so he was going to go check on him. So this is now we're talking about 9:30, maybe 9:45. Henry was outside, and this time, and you would think in South Carolina it's going to be really warm, but in this time, on this day, we looked up the weather, and it was about 39 degrees, which is chilly here, really chilly for South Carolina. But Henry was outside. He was going to go check on him. He said Henry was walking back towards the house from the driveway. And what's important to note here, Caden was about to turn 15 in January 2024. And in South Carolina, you can get your learner's permit to drive in South Carolina when you turn 15. So he had a truck. His parents had purchased a pickup truck for him. And according to Erika, his mother, Caden's mother, there was some ammunition for a .243 bolt-action rifle that was inside the truck. The truck was locked, and the keys were in her bedroom, either in a drawer or locked away, but probably in a drawer. So now we've got about 9:30, 9:45. Henry's outside. Caden is showering. And so they're all playing a video game now. It's about 10 o'clock, and they're starting to talk again. They're sitting in Caden's room, and they're playing video games. They're talking again. One is on Facebook, doing FaceTime. Another one's on Apple FaceTime, and they're talking to their girlfriends. It gets to be a little bit before 11 o'clock, not much before, about 10:55, let's call it. And Caden is playing a game on Roblox. Roblox is an online game. It's a virtual game where you have a character that is you. What I was told is that it takes two hands to control the character. Two hands. He was playing Roblox. His girlfriend, May, was on the phone with him. She was playing Roblox. And Henry's girlfriend, Kate, was also playing Roblox. Henry was not playing Roblox. Henry was on the floor in a blanket. And according to May, she saw the .243 bolt-action rifle on the floor within arm's length of where Henry was sitting. Now, Henry's sitting on the floor in a blanket. He's not playing a video game. And Caden is sitting at the desk. He's got a desk he got for, I think it was early Christmas or birthday. He's sitting at the desk. He's sitting in the chair, and he's looking at the computer screen. And to his left, down on the floor, It's Henry. He's playing a video game, okay? This is tough. So they're playing a video game, okay? About 10:55 or so, around that time, I've talked to the mom, I've talked to the sister, I've talked to a couple different people. About 10:55 p.m., Caden is playing his Roblox. At this time, he's turned his video off on his phone, and he's put his phone down on his leg, facing up. And so he's just on audio with FaceTime. And at this time, Henry had also put his phone down, but he still had the video on, but the video was only showing the ceiling. He couldn't see anything else. And according to May, she is on the phone with Caden and said they turned their phones off. She said the next thing she hears is Caden say, "What are?" I don't know if I'm saying that right. If my inflection is right, it's like, "What are?" And then she heard a gunshot. Then after a few seconds, she said she heard Henry say, Caden had shot himself. Now, in this bedroom, it's a smaller bedroom. To the left wall is his sister, his older sister. She was in there exchanging some Christmas presents with her then boyfriend. They hadn't seen each other in a while before Christmas, so they were exchanging presents. On the other wall, to the right of Caden, is his younger sibling's bedroom. And there was 2 or 3 in that particular bedroom. So they hear a shot. The older sister said it sounded like a light bulb dropping on the ground. Now, if any of you have ever heard any bolt-action rifle, any rifle, anything like this, it makes an enormous, enormous noise. I mean, a kaboom. And being that they were on the other side of the wall, it didn't sound like that to her. According to eyewitnesses, Henry had worn a leather coat and a sweatshirt over his t-shirt that night. The sweatshirt is still in that bedroom. I saw it there 2 days ago. And the leather coat is gone. No one saw him wearing it that night after Caden was killed. But so here's the thing. So the sister hears this noise, and then she's like, I'm going to go check on that. And she walks out of her room 1 to 2 minutes, she said, 1 to 2 minutes after she heard the noise, because she didn't think it sounded like a shotgun going off or a rifle going off. And as she opens the door to Caden's room opens up, and Henry walks out. So imagine this now. Caden gets shot, and Henry is in the bedroom with him for 1 to 2 minutes. Doing what? I don't know. I would like to talk to Kate, Henry's girlfriend, and see what she has to say about that. However, Caden's sister comes out and says, what's going on? And according to her, in her statement, she says that Henry very nonchalantly, and you're going to hear this word from me a few times because that's how people have described him, nonchalantly said, Caden shot himself. Now, this kid was also 14 years old. So it's hard for me to imagine how a 14-year-old who, if Caden shot himself, and I will let you know in a moment about that he just saw his best friend or one of his friends just shoot himself. Or if he didn't shoot himself, then Henry allegedly shoots him. Either way, he sits into this bedroom for 1 to 2 minutes. Doing what? I don't know. So now it's 11 o'clock, 11:01, and the sister is like, "Are you kidding? Are you kidding?" She thought he was kidding. And he said, "No." She looks in the room and sees her brother slumped backwards to the right. Blood is dripping. She runs into her mother's room and wakes her mother up frantically. You can imagine. She is frantic. Henry, however, is still not anything like frantic. He's just very, matter of fact, calm. So the mother wakes up in a frantic, as you can imagine, and Erika's stunned. She jumps up and runs into action. She describes what she saw. She was awoken by Keeley shaking, grabbing her right arm, saying, "Caden shot himself." So the sister's just repeating what Henry had said. And on the way running to the room, she saw her other daughter in her room holding her other 2 siblings. She says when she entered the room where Caden was, there was a smell that she's never smelled before. And I'm assuming that is the smell of probably blood in the air, of mist. And Caden is sitting back in his chair, his legs are crossed at the ankles. He's stretched out at the desk, and both arms are inside his arms are in his gaming chair. His hands were curled in, and his right leg was his cell phone, where he had placed it when he was talking to his girlfriend. And this clearly is a parent's worst nightmare. And I guess, adrenaline's kicking in for her, what to do next. She said that she leaned, and his head leaned to the right. His eyes were bulging. His eyes were bulging out, but they weren't closed. And according to her, he was breathing. She said she felt a heartbeat, and she started screaming for the kids to get out of the house. And you can imagine, get out of the house. She grabbed Caden's phone and she called 911. I am working with the Lawrence County Sheriff's Department to try to get that 911 call. His sister also called 911, so I'm trying to ascertain both of those. The dog comes in the room. People are screaming. The dog hits Caden's chair a little bit, and Caden's head falls slightly further back and to the right. So she's screaming at the dogs, "Get out, get out." She tries to start chest compressions. He's sitting in a chair. It's certainly not the ideal place to do chest compressions, but, who plans for this? It's just kind of instinctual. Her worst nightmare is now a reality, and her house is frantic terror. She said she remembers seeing Henry, but he didn't seem messed up like the rest of us, she said. No tears. And she didn't think anything of it at the time. So the younger siblings were in the room next door, and they heard the same thing, not so much of a loud bang, but of a muffled noise. And the projectile or bullet entered Caden's head towards the left temple. It was a shot that came from a downward projection from the floor. It exited the right side of his head. And you'll see in the story that I have posted at crimecast.com and I'll put the link down here as well in the comments, you'll see Erika pointing to where the bullet came through the wall into the other children's room. It must have hit a stud of some sort, piece of wood. Maybe it was just a drywall, but it split into two. And from where it split into two from the wall, then it went up, into the ceiling. It didn't hit any of the other siblings, but where the hole is and where the bed was at the time was a bunk bed. It missed one of the children by about a foot. So I interviewed the neighbors across the street, and I read the statement that Caden's sister's boyfriend wrote to SLED, South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. And when I interviewed Taffy, she lives across the street, great people, love those kids, and she has kids of her own, and her and her husband. She comes over to the house because people are screaming, they're outside. The older daughter comes over there. So her and her husband make their way across, and it's kind of like kitty corner across the street a little bit. They kind of live on a turn. She walks across the street. She says she sees Henry, and Henry is basically in the garage at Caden's house, and he's in the garage in front of this weight bench, and he's pacing back and forth. And according to Taffy, in my interview with her, she said Henry told her, exclaimed to her, "Oh my God, my fingerprints are on the bullet." Those words were also said to the boyfriend. Okay. She said she told Henry to sit down on the weight bench, asked him what happened. He said he unloaded the gun earlier. Now, this must have been when Caden was in the shower. He said he unloaded it. I'm not sure who loaded it, but as I understand it from Caden's dad and his mother, who are both gun enthusiasts, that Caden respected the guns. And when he was in a field hunting and he was done, he would eject everything, put that away, and make sure that the gun was safe. So he's not going to leave a gun loaded in the house. But this is what Henry said. And so then he says, Henry says that I unloaded the gun earlier, and I guess he's referring to Caden, put a bullet back in it when I wasn't looking. I've been in this room. In fact, I will show you a picture of the room. You can't do anything in this room without somebody knowing. And I have these pictures up, by the way, at crimeandcask.com. This is a picture of the bedroom. The mother is pointing to the wall. This is the wall where the projectile was. Let me try to hold on. This is the projectile. She's pointing to the projectile. The carpet is cut out because that is where the blood stain was. The police also took the bed. They did not return the bed. And you can see where the chair, you can see where the chair is gone. It's a new chair, but you can see where the chair was, like where Caden would have been sitting there looking at the computer. In fact, this room is exactly how it was on December 30th. She hasn't done anything to it, and I don't blame her. Even the laundry sitting over in the corner, Caden's laundry. Okay, so now you have Caden sitting at the chair. To the left of him, down, there's the blanket, as a matter of fact, that Henry was wrapped in. And so you have Henry now saying, he must have loaded it. But you can see from that room, it's a very small room. Somebody's going to get out a large .243 bolt-action rifle. You're going to know what's going on. And the boyfriend's statement matches up exactly with what the neighbor said, that Henry told the boyfriend the same thing. He says, "What do I do? My fingerprints are all over the bullets. I didn't know how to help him." That's according to the boyfriend, what Henry had told him. Now, it's also been told that by the neighbor and by the boyfriend and a couple other witnesses that later on in the night they saw Henry get into a vehicle. Now, by this time, police are there, ambulance is there. We're jumping ahead a little bit, but I want to talk about the vehicle and Henry's clothes, because any good investigator in any type of crime scene where someone is shot with a gun, you want to figure out who shot this gun. You should bag and tag everybody's clothes, do gunshot residue testing on their hands, body, take DNA samples. None of that was done. However, let's talk about the vehicle and Henry's clothes. So, according to the neighbor, Taffy, she recalls Henry run into a car and it pulled up kind of most at the end of the driveway. She could kind of see, she says she saw it in her peripheral vision. And I'm going to read a text string between Erika, the mother, and May's mother, Caden's girlfriend. Her name is Tammy. Erika says, "I don't know what Henry had on, t-shirt and shorts, maybe pants." Tammy says, "I say this because I believe he may have changed his clothes, which he did, then he wouldn't have gunpowder on his clothes." Erika says, "What would make you think he changed his clothes? Like parents brought him clothes to change into?" And Tammy says, "I remember her sister, whom I never met, come to my car with another girl. They got into my SUV with May and Kate, and then Henry's sister got a phone call from her mom. Her mom wanted her to come take off Henry's pants and give them her pants to Henry, which left his sister in shorts." She says, "I think they were clothes that had been left in the car, maybe pants." So let me try to explain that to you, because sometimes in a text it doesn't come through, but I did talk with Tammy and I did get a clarification of what went on there. So you have Tammy, the mother of May, Caden's girlfriend, outside the Moses home. And this was about, let me look at the timeline. This was about 11:30. This is about 11:30. So now we have Tammy, May, who's Caden's girlfriend. She's in her car. She had Henry's sister and a friend in the car, Henry's girlfriend, and she had a friend in the car, and Caden's girlfriend. So Henry's sister receives a phone call from Henry's mother telling her to take off her pants and give them to Henry. So she leaves Tammy's vehicle with pants on and comes back to Tammy's car with shorts on. Allegedly, she was going to give them to Henry or Henry's mom for Henry to change into. Now, Henry was wearing pants. So I'm confused why he's changing clothes, but we have eyewitnesses that will attest to that. And in our interview with Tammy, she recalls Henry's sister saying on the phone, and I quote, "Okay, yes, I'll come change clothes if he needs it." And then someone in Tammy's SUV asked who that was, and Henry's sister said, "That was my mama." So if this account by the neighbor and May's mother are accurate, which I believe they are, it would appear that Henry may have called his parents or his mother and sister and girlfriend, and the sister changes out of her pants, leaves May's mom's vehicle, and allegedly gives the jeans either to Henry or someone in the vehicle in which Henry had entered. That's according to Taffy, the neighbor, and according to the boyfriend of Caden's sister, and according to Tammy, who is Caden's girlfriend's mother. Got that straight. But here's what makes all of that particularly interesting. If they're changing clothes with him, there's a lot going on here with the law. And this includes Henry, his mother, and his sister. These are possible charges if this happened, as everyone says it did. And if it happened, you have about 4, maybe 5, but I've listed 4 laws that were broken. One is accessory after the fact. And this is when someone assists a person who's committed a crime, let's say a murder or manslaughter, with the intent to help them avoid arrest, prosecution, or conviction by helping the alleged shooter change clothes to hide gunpowder residue. They could be charged with accessories after the fact to murder. In South Carolina, that can lead up to a result of 15 years in prison. Number 2, tampering with evidence. The mother and sister also could be charged, if this were true, with tampering with evidence if they were actively participating in the concealment or destruction of evidence. And the act of tampering can be charged as a misdemeanor, but it can add legal consequences if they face. Obstruction of justice is the third one. Assisting with the cover-up or hiding evidence can also lead to charges of obstruction of justice. And conspiracy. Good old conspiracy. If it can be proven, and if they did it, that there was an agreement to help hide evidence, which would be the alleged phone call between the mother and the sister and Henry. That's 3 people. You need 2 people for a conspiracy. This is 3. If it happened and it impeded the investigation, they also could face conspiracy charges. It's charged when 2 or more people agree to commit a crime and take action towards its completion. Not good. So let's look at, what if Henry did this? I'm not saying Henry did. No one has been charged in this case. It is considered a closed case by the state of South Carolina. And there has been no one charged with the murder, manslaughter, homicide, whatever you want to call it, of Kaden Moses. No one. But let's say, for instance, that possibly, allegedly, Henry pulled the trigger on that particular gun. Now, if you look at the evidence, the angle of the shot would appear it came from the floor. The way it came into his head, the angle it came out, the angle that it hit the wall, and the angle that it hit when it exited the wall on the other side. All of it points to a down and up shot. But if he did it, you're talking at least, at the most, you could charge as murder or involuntary manslaughter. That's the unintentional killing of another person due to reckless disregard or safety to others. Pointing a gun, pulling a trigger. Tampering with evidence and obstruction of justice. And of course, we said conspiracy. That's a lot. That is a lot. But that's all big ifs. Let's just go through the timeline again real quick. You got 9 p.m. Caden on the phone with his girlfriend. You got 9:15. He takes a shower. 9:45. He's dressed, goes outside looking for Henry. Temperature is about 39 degrees. Henry's only wearing a light colored shirt and jeans. 10 o'clock, Caden and Henry go back into the room, into the home. They play video games in Caden's room. Both their girlfriends are on the phone while they play. Caden is shot with a .243 bolt action rifle at 10:55, approximately 11 o'clock. Erika's awoken. About 10:10 to 10:15, the police arrive. Ambulance arrives shortly after. And then we talked about May's mom and that. By the way, something to note, when Caden's girlfriend was on the phone with him, she heard the gunshot. His last words that she heard him say were, "What are? What are?" Boom. You could try to finish the sentence, what are you doing? It's a question. And the only other person in the room was Henry. What are you doing, Henry? I'd like to know what Henry was doing as well. But what's important to note here is the games that they were playing online, this Roblox. According to the mother, you have to have two hands to play the game. So there's no way, none, that this boy was playing this game. And according to the girlfriend, his character was moving the whole time because she was playing the game too. His character was moving the whole time. And the only time his character stopped moving was after she heard the shot. Take that with however you want to take it. Let's talk about the police investigation. This is Lawrence County Sheriff's Department. As I understand from the mother, there was a lot of people in the sheriff that showed up that had to recuse themselves because they were friends, or their boys were friends with either Caden or Henry or who knows else. It's a small county. It's a small town. It happens. But they called in SLED because by law, when a minor is killed with a firearm, SLED has to be involved. That's the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. Somebody came up out of Columbia, South Carolina, and it's about an hour or so drive. So the SLED didn't show up until, let's say, 12:30. So I spoke with multiple people, including the neighbor, Taffy, across the street, her husband, the mother, the sister. I spoke with Caden's girlfriend's mom, Tammy. Everybody has said, even after the police were there, even after he was declared dead, people were walking into the house. Some people were walking down towards the bedroom, trying to look in the bedroom. And they did so freely, with nobody at the door to stop them. No one. So the scene was not in control. And now you're talking about people who are just trying to help, basically just trampling all over the evidence. But if you're going to do that, you got to control the scene. That didn't happen. You have to separate and isolate witnesses. That didn't happen. These people were all over the place. Across the street, came back. Henry was out front, walking around, pacing out of the front yard. It wasn't until 1:30 in the morning when somebody who was outside, and there was kids everywhere, there was people everywhere, there's parents everywhere. I mean, according to everybody, this place was chaotic, but Henry was still outside walking around until somebody told the cop and said, "Hey, that kid was in the room when Caden was shot." And apparently then they went to him at about 1:30 in the morning and said, "Hey, maybe you need to come here and sit in this car." Apparently he sat in the car, and then they let him go. What I've been told is that he was not interrogated that evening. He was not interrogated in that vehicle. His clothes were not taken. No gunshot residue. His fingerprints weren't taken. His DNA was not taken. And he allegedly changed clothes with his sister. Okay, so they didn't separate or isolate witnesses. By the way, none of the family had their clothes taken, their DNA taken, their fingerprints taken, gunshot residue. Not one family member. Not one family member. Not anybody. Documentation. While police will document the scene using photographs, videos, and notes, they did, as I understand it, and the mother is trying to get a FOIA for the body cam footage for that evening, but was told by either SLED or Lawrence County Sheriff. I don't recall. I think it's the sheriff because those are the people there that had the body cams on. But she cannot have the video, but she can have the audio if she wants to. My point is in this to the people of Lawrence County Sheriff's Department, please listen to me. You need to go back and look You need to go back and look at every angle you can on that video and try to find who I'm referring to as Henry. Try to find the clothes he was wearing all night long. Because if his clothes changed, he's wearing some sort of Wrangler jeans and now he's wearing something that looks like girls' jeans, or I don't know. But if there's a change in his clothing, you can now bring him in, his mother in, and his sister in, and you have eyewitnesses that you can talk to and interrogate and tell you exactly how that went down. And overheard the conversation with the mother and was told it was the mother. I mean, you've got him on, if this happened, you've got him on conspiracy, tampering with evidence, obstruction of justice, and what was the other one I had mentioned? Accessory after the fact. Now you can go and talk to them again. Separate them, though, please, and then interrogate them. Oh, Lord. So they documented it, but they won't give out the video feed. Clothing collection, as I said, wasn't done. Gunshot residue testing wasn't done. Blood evidence, I shouldn't say that it wasn't done. I don't know if that was done. But according to the people who were at the home, this did not happen. Confiscation of firearms. They'll confiscate the firearms. They did confiscate that and some other guns in the house. According to the mother, she never saw an inventory of what was taken from her house. And they have returned the murder weapon and other weapons that she had. However, she is missing a gun, and she was not given the inventory as it came back to her. So I don't know what happened to that gun, but she's missing a gun. Ballistics testing, I don't know what was conducted, so I can't say anything to that. We talked about fingerprint DNA collection. It didn't happen. So here's what's interesting, is that the interviews of the family, the interviews of Henry, took place near the home at a facility. And according to everybody, it was 3 to 4 weeks later. So a month after the murder of Kaden Moses. The neighbor, Taffy, she said she had to write and call multiple times well into March of 2024 to get anybody to respond to her so she could offer them her written statement. Can you imagine? So an autopsy was performed the next day on 12/31/2023, approximately 10 a.m. in the morning. He was shot. Caden was shot in the left side of his head. The path went through skin, bone, brain, and exited the top right of his head, according to the medical examiner's report. The cause of death is a gunshot wound to the head. The manner of death was ruled a homicide. That is from not only the Lawrence County Coroner, but that is from the medical examiner, Claire Rose, Dr. Claire Rose, the medical examiner, and Dr. Michael Ward, who's the chief medical examiner. The manner of death was a homicide. And the Lawrence County Coroner told Erika, and this is Erika telling me this, the coroner told her there is no possible way, none, that your son shot himself. So if it was only Caden in the room and only Henry in the room, and Caden didn't shoot himself, then that only leaves Henry. And now you have eyewitnesses saying that Henry had changed clothes that night. I don't know why you need to get out of one pair of jeans to get into another pair of jeans, but that's what I was told. That needs to be followed up on by the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division and or Lawrence County, or hell, I don't know, bring the FBI in. So there's many things in this that are crystal clear, and I'm going to go through just a couple here. And these are reports by eyewitnesses, interviews that I did, official documents, and the medical examiner's report. Kaden Moses was 14 years old. He was killed by a bolt-action .243 rifle at an upward angle that entered the left side of Caden's head, exited the upper right side of his head, and went through the wall into his sibling's wall. Caden's girlfriend recalls vividly that Henry was sitting on the floor on the left side of Caden in a blanket on the floor, and within Caden's rifle, within arm's reach. She heard Caden say, "What are?" And then she heard the gun go off. She then heard Henry say, "Caden shot himself." She did note again, as I said, that she noted that Caden's virtual character had never stopped moving on Roblox until he was shot. And you have to use two hands to do this. And Henry was not playing Roblox. The Lawrence County coroner told Erika Moses there's no way Caden shot himself. Caden's sister said that Henry and Caden were in the room alone together, and she saw Henry exit the room nonchalantly and telling her that Caden had shot himself. The boyfriend stated that Henry told him that Henry loaded the rifle, but then he unloaded it. And Henry said, "What do I do?" He said, "My fingerprints are all over the bullets." Okay. Caden's sister states between the time they heard the loud noise and the time she walked out, it was about a minute or two. That would have put Henry in the room sitting there with Caden, dying or already dead. Taffy, the neighbor across the street, said Henry told her the same thing. "Oh my God, my fingerprints are on the bullet." That's what Henry told her. Henry's DNA was not taken. The fingerprints were not taken at the scene or known to have been taken. Henry's clothes were not taken that night by law enforcement. So if he changed clothes, no need to change clothes. And also through eyewitness accounts that Henry allegedly changed clothes, prompted by his mother and helped by his sister. And these are according to firsthand statements, all alleging this. And Erika had alleged that the next night, which was New Year's Eve, that Henry supposedly, allegedly attended a New Year's Eve party the next day. SLED interviewed Henry one time, but it was weeks later. One time he was interviewed, and according to Erika, she was told, I don't know by whom, she was told that South Carolina law only allows law enforcement to interview a minor one time. And in that one time, which was weeks later, a month later, in that one time, Henry brought an attorney with him, was represented by legal counsel, and chose to invoke his Fifth Amendment rights to remain silent. So they got nothing out of him, according to the mother. I investigated that. I have looked up and down and everywhere. If there's somebody out there that knows South Carolina law really well, let me know what you say about that, because I have not been able to find anything. If law enforcement wants to interview him 10 times, they can interview him 10 times. If they want whatever amount they want, it would be the same as an adult. There are some stipulations when you interview minors, a parent or legal guardian or an attorney has to be present, or whatever they say can't be held against them. There's time limits, those type of things, but you can interview them all you want. So why they interviewed him one time, one and done, maybe it's because he's never going to say anything, but there's plenty of eyewitnesses out there that no one wants to talk to that can put this puzzle together for you. According to Erika Moses, the solicitor's office told her that the case is closed And unless some credible evidence comes forward, they're not going to prosecute. However, they would prosecute if she really wanted to, but believe that they would get a not guilty verdict. I am not of the belief of that. But the case is now closed. So there's a lot of groundwork that needs to be done. Erika Moses wants to heal. She wants her family to heal. And they cannot heal as a family or as individuals when the killer, alleged killer, I even hate to say that, but I have to say it. No one has been brought to justice for the death of this beautiful young boy, Kaden Moses, 14 years old. One of his main missions and goals in life, he wanted to be a father. I think that says a lot about him. Everybody that I talked to says he loved taking care of the kids. He was a role model. He would give the shirt off your back to keep you warm. Every picture that I see of this family, they're all smiling. They're all happy. They're all well loved. But, you've got small children that are still remaining in the house. All of them, except for one, saw their brother laying in his bedroom shot. That does something to somebody, especially a young child. So you can understand that they're also receiving help to work through this tragic event in their family. Erika would like to hire a private investigator. I've done as much as I shouldn't say I've done as much as I can, but I think a private investigator, somebody who's working on the case, could really overturn some stones and get some things done where I may be a little bit limited. But they want to hire a private investigator. If you're a private investigator and you want to jump in on this, get a hold of me. I'm at crimeandcast.com. I can get in touch. I can get you in touch with the mother. And they're also looking at getting an attorney. And of course, he has had funeral services. He's been buried, but he doesn't have a gravestone. So in Crime and Cast News, we have created a GoFundMe for this family to cover not only a lot of cost of medical costs, investigator cost, attorney's cost. 100% of these proceeds are going to this family. If you can find it yourself to chip in $5, $10, $20, whatever it is that you can do, whatever it is that you can afford. I know it's an awful time. We've got Christmas coming up. People just went through hurricanes here in the Carolinas. But if there's anything you can do, it'd be much appreciated. This family would absolutely benefit from it. So that is up on the website as well, or you can go to GoFundMe. I'll throw the link up here as well. This is such a powerful story, but it's so tragic. It is so tragic. And to have the life of this young boy just cut off, I really want you to read. There's more details that I haven't gone into, but I really want you to read the story. If you want to go to crimeandcast.com, you can even do a word search. Just type in Caden, Kaden, or Moses, Moses. I have about 4 or 5 stories up there about him. The last one is probably the most powerful with the most information. It's going to make you sad. It's going to make you mad. But we need help. I need your help. I need you to do whatever it is you do, YouTube, internet. Like, follow, share this, post it to your Facebook, post it to your YouTube, post it to wherever you want to post it. You have a website, a news person. This word needs to get out because this family needs to heal. The town needs to heal. And someone needs to be held accountable for the death of this 14-year-old boy, Kaden Moses. Next week, which is the week of the 20th. I think on the 21st of October, which is Monday, I'm going to have Erika, the mother, on, and we're going to do an interview with her. And I want you to listen to her side of the story. It's such a sweet woman, and just listen to her. She's a hero from in my perspective, to be able to sit and talk about this. It's therapeutic for her, as she said the other day when I interviewed her. But she's looking for the truth, and that's all she's looking for, is the truth, however she gets it. So please help us, and I appreciate you watching if you stayed for the whole time. This is Crime and Cask. I'm with Crime and Cask News. We're in South Carolina. We're at crimeandcask.com. We're also, I've got videos of this on TikTok. It's at Crime and Cask, or on X at Crime and Cask as well. And we're also on Facebook. You can check us out there. Help us with this. I appreciate everybody, and thank you for listening. Crime and Cask out.